We're good. We're rolling.
We're on. Okay. So, first episode ever of WTF Stories and Advice.
I'm Louisa. I'm a radio producer. We are from New Zealand. Well, I'm from New Zealand. Where are you originally from?
I'm a recovering American or a refugee.
You're about to say recovering alcoholic.
Oh, that too. I'm a refugee from America, but I now live in Auckland, New Zealand as well. Beautiful place. And I am Caroline Cranshaw, and I am a hypnotherapist as well as a total fucking know-it-all. So I thought...
Very cool.
And we have bonded over trying to top each other with terrible stories, and we thought maybe other people would want to hear these as well.
And a bit of advice from us. I don't know whether you should be taking our advice, but...
Probably not. Actually, don't listen to us at all. But the way I look at it is I'm kind of like the jailhouse lawyer of problems and fuck-ups. And so I've had to work so hard on my own case, I can now help you with yours.
I've come to Caroline with a few issues, and she's like, don't worry, I've done 10 times worse than that. I'm like, okay, good, you can help me with this.
Yeah. So... Are we going to go into stories first? Or yeah. Shall I go first?
Yeah, hit me with one.
Okay, so this is, I thought of you actually when I was looking through this because you're going to go back on Tinder after
it's recently single.
A slight hiatus. And yeah, so this is it's a little warning for you. So this is a story of a woman named Angela J. She's a 28-year-old doctor. I think she's a little bit older now, but she's an obstetrician. She's from I'm going to say this totally wrong, Macquarie, Australia, which is in between Sydney and Brisbane. And she met a 36-year-old insurance manager, Paul Lambert, from Sydney on Tinder. And they hit it off. They began dating regularly. However, when Angela went on vacation a couple of weeks into the relationship, Paul began acting possessive and calling and texting her nonstop, and she felt totally smothered. So it was just way too much for her, and after 6 weeks, she called it quits. The problem is, Paul wouldn't take no for an answer.
Oh no, he's a stage 5 clinger.
Exactly. He began creating fake social media profiles to stay in contact with her. He bombarded her with texts. He threatened to harm himself and her. So when he shows up on her doorstep, which is never a good sign, Angela tells him to go away. She told him he was scaring her and that she never wanted to speak to him again, ever. But during this encounter, Paul somehow managed to steal her keys to her house.
Oh, no.
How did he do
sounds
that?
Like a movie.
Yeah. Movie, yeah, I don't want to watch personally. So then on November 2nd, 2016, a few days after he showed up at her house, Paul went to a local hardware store, bought a hammer, a crowbar, and cable ties. Wouldn't you if I was the clerk, I'd be like,
I was just thinking that, imagine rocking into Bunnings and asking for those 3 things. Surely someone's going to be like, red flag.
Yeah,
crazy.
like a shovel and some lye.
Any duct tape.
So where was I? So the next morning he goes to a petrol station or a gas station if you're American, and he fills up a can full of petrol. And so then that night, just 4 days later, after he'd gone to her house and she had actually filed a restraining order against him at that time, Paul broke into her house while she was out and he hid.
No.
So Angela arrives home, she eats dinner, she's totally unaware Paul's hiding in her closet. So an hour later, she goes to change her clothes and he jumps out at her. So as she turns to the corner to enter her bedroom, he jumps out and she screams. He puts his hand over her mouth so she can't, looks in the eye and goes, "It's okay, I just want to talk."
Oh yeah, I'm just going to hide in your closet and then I'm going to jump out and say, "I just want to talk."
Exactly. So she makes a run for it, and of course he catches her, and she suddenly sees this knife in his hands. No. Paul stabs Angela 11 times before pouring petrol all over her head, into her eyes, mouth, and ears. So as she's watching his knife rise and fall, Yeah, maybe we should have given a little trigger warning for these stories.
Oh my God.
So as she's watching this, it took her a minute to comprehend he's actually stabbing her. So she's just like, what's happening? And she has this distinct thought of, I'm going to bleed to death. So she describes how she had this terrible feeling of just thinking how she was never going to see her family and friends again. But she finds the strength to pick herself up off the ground, only to be met by this shower of petrol. As he does it again, he rains all over her face, her hair. And she's burning her eyes. She's coughing and choking. But it's in that moment of just indescribable horror, like waiting to be lit on fire. I guess he's like struggling to get like the matches. Her adrenaline just kicks in overdrive, her survival sticks in, and she runs for her life. So she, to quote her, she says, "I can't even explain the horror you feel when you know someone is trying to set you on fire." And she adds, "I was just terrified any second I was going to go up in flames." I think being a doctor, too, you would know how bad burns are, you know? It's like you'd have that extra knowledge.
You'd be like, I need to get out of here. Or
get the fuck out. So with her skin slippery from petrol and blood, she managed to escape, run down her driveway where her neighbor, some guy named Steve Wildern, who is a fucking hero, basically, grabs her, calls an ambulance. And so this other guy, Paul, this psychopath, just takes off. So she just kept saying to him over and over, "I'm going to bleed to death. Call an ambulance. Call an ambulance." Poor guy. So he had, but he's trying to like help her. So Paul went on a 2-hour police chase. Like it took them 2 hours to catch him. When they finally threw spikes in front of his car. And when he jumped out of the car with a knife, they shot him dead, which is good. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, because in my head, all I can think of is that poor girl.
I know.
Even if he went to prison, she'd just be like, is he going to come out?
Yeah.
Is he going to come after me?
Exactly. So Angela admits it, hearing that he was dead, which like brought her this huge sense of relief. So to quote her, she said, "He was gone. He couldn't hurt me anymore. Come back and get me one day," she said. Angela said she still bears the scars from the horrific attack, both mental and physical. And she just thinks about how he wanted her to be unrecognizable. And she just can't fathom wanting to do that to someone. Even like if you break up or, even my worst enemies, I still wouldn't want to freaking light them on fire.
Psychopath.
Yeah. So, but she had this feeling like she didn't die for a reason, that there was some reason why she survived this and that she was going to like make a difference with it. So a year on from the incident, she's gone and she's spoke in front of Parliament and she's gotten them to kind of change this bill. Apparently they proposed doing a bill for 5 days off for domestic violence. And now they're saying 5 paid days off, or 10 paid days off for if you're in, because you imagine like, if you don't have the money
the trauma and the stress that you would go through, like
exactly.
Yes, 10 days is great, but that's still not even enough. Like
No.
it would absolutely fuck you for your whole life.
Yeah, and you think about how many people stay in situations because they don't have the money or they can't get away so anyway, so she goes and like speaks in front of the government. She does all this stuff now, and she's like an ambassador for this group called the White Ribbon organization. And so they really help people that are victims of domestic violence. And she talks about how she feels really grateful that she survived, but that, there's 71 people that died that year that she was attacked. So it's just, things have got to change with it. And they've got to make like more stricter legislation with like,
and even around Tinder, like any random can sign up and make a fake Facebook and turn into anyone. Yeah,
it's just horrible. But so a year after her assault, she puts a photo on Instagram showing the scars on her thighs and her forearm. And she points out that basically it's the physical wounds are painful, but it's the mental wounds that are actually the worst. And to quote her, she says, a year ago today, my life changed forever. I narrowly escaped murder, and a part of me definitely died that day. Yeah, so terrible story.
It takes so much to overcome something like that in your life.
Yeah.
You think about that trauma and that memory every day.
But maybe she's going to help people by getting them like a chance to get out of those situations by the changes they're going to make in Parliament. So hopefully they do it. Because as of yet, now 2018, they still haven't put that legislation into law. So
that should 100% be a thing, because it takes a special kind of person like her to be able to actually overcome something like that. Like most things like that would ruin someone's lives and change them forever.
Oh, it's horrific. So anyways, you should look Angela J up. She is a badass. Yeah. And she's an obstetrician. Like, who better to deliver your baby? You know what I mean? Like,
than her after she's gone through all that.
Like, if I was going to have another baby, which I fucking never would, but anyways, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, my God, that's the type of woman you want doing it, because she would handle that shit like a boss.
Also, quite scared to go on Tinder or Bumble now after hearing that story. So that's great for newly single Lulu. Scared off from dating.
Some more later. Yeah.
I have got a quite a funny story. Well, I'm actually more going to ask you about it because I feel like you would know.
Okay.
Okay, I have found a story that I'm going to read the headline and you can judge for yourself. I climax every 30 seconds. Woman's rare disorder sees her experience constant orgasms for up to 8 hours a day. Oh. I don't even know where to start with this because, like, that is outrageous. Imagine just being at work, at the printer. Oh, hang on. It's happening.
For a second, it sounds good.
A real thing.
Yeah, it is. I've treated clients with this issue. And it's scary. I had one client who had an orgasm from brushing her teeth. No. So I was like, wow.
No,
I was like, you must have the cleanest teeth ever.
Well, every time she
brushed her teeth, she'd have an orgasm. Yeah.
I can't, like, how does that even happen? I heard a girl who used to work at the same radio station that I do, she now works overseas, had an orgasm at the gym. So she was with her personal trainer.
Vibratrain?
No, she was on those roller, like, ab, you know those, you put your two hands on them and you lean forward and then lean back and it really gets your abs.
Yeah.
Like, that gets your abs. How does that get down below?
Maybe she's like squeezing her pelvic floor or something. I don't know.
Also, in my head, I'm like, this poor trainer, what's he doing?
Did he know?
Well, I don't know. Like, surely
she's
you know. I mean, if she's having a full-blown, then of course he's going to know. You could not look at him. You couldn't go back to him. You could not go back to that
some people
trainer.
aren't that loud, Louisa, so maybe.
Apparently it's like quite common to have them at the gym.
I know women that have through the Vibratrain, and there's one.
What's the vibe? Is that thing that plate you stand on? It's like,
yeah, they have like real big ones, and there's some woman at my gym who like lays on it. No. Sorry. She does, and she's like pretending she's doing push-ups, but she's like, so she's
just
laying,
getting it on with the Vibratrain.
She's totally, because then she's like, and she goes real slow at some points, and I'm like, I know what you're doing.
Like, hon, you're not.
And you better spray that machine when you're done, bitch, because I do not.
Get that spray and wipe pronto.
Oh. Dude, where's your husband? Yeah. So, anyways.
I just can't even wrap my head around that because, and that's not even a blessing. Like, imagine
that'd be a
orgasming every 30 seconds for 8 hours a day.
I had a client who had that, who she'd had like some pelvic floor repair type of surgery after like her third baby or something. And they hit some nerve and it was the same. Like but she also had this like desperate feeling that she needed to have an orgasm. It was like, like lady blue balls constantly or something. She had some ladywood that needed relieving. And so, she became like a total nymphomaniac. She ended up leaving her husband. She's like in her 40s and left her husband for like a seriously younger man, like, inappropriately young man who could meet her needs, shall we say. She seemed pretty happy, but I think it was like, she couldn't really work because she just needed to be fucked all the time.
She had to work from home.
What could you do? Like, I don't know, like assembly work or something?
Imagining all these like scenarios, like out for coffee, ordering a coffee, thank you. What the hell?
Oh, I don't know. It is a thing now. Much. It is. And I'm like, might be good for like an hour. And then you just be over it, basically.
You just hate it. I kind of thought it was a myth. Like, I remember when I was younger, like hearing these stories being like, woman walks upstairs and gets orgasm. Like, no, that is a legit full-blown thing. And that is not a blessing. That's terrible.
Yeah.
What would happen when you were having sex? Like, it wouldn't even be a pleasure.
No, I think it is. I think, it's interesting though. They say it's not quite as intense as sex, right? Because there's no kind of stimulus. So I think it's almost just like an autonomic response. Like it's an involuntary response. Because you can make corpses orgasm.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
A dead person.
Like a dead
You're
body.
taking the piss.
No, I am not.
That is not real.
Yeah. No, if they hit the right nerve, like in the spinal column, they have an orgasm. I've had people, like clients that have had spinal injuries or like serious accidents where, they basically are having kind of uncontrolled orgasms or sexual desires that, some of them actually... Yeah, I can't even go into it because it freaked me out that bad. What they told me.
Oh, no, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. It's really bad.
No.
But anyways, yeah. So that's an interesting topic, Louisa.
It's very interesting. Well, I feel like now I know it's not a myth. I know
a myth.
that it's the truth.
It is.
It can happen to anyone. It can happen at the gym.
Okay, so just going back on Tinder, I have another story for you. And
are you trying to scare me off dating? Like I'm literally 2 weeks single, and now you're telling me another horror story about dating.
Nothing could have put me off dating. I was such a hoe bag, basically. No, I shouldn't say that, but yeah. I was addicted to dating. So this is a story from a friend of mine, who's a doctor, actually, and she is a super cool chick. And funny as hell, Irish. And I was like asking her about her love life, and she was like, oh, fucking hell, you don't even want to know. I'm like, no, tell me. And so she had started dating this guy, and she really liked him. And then it was her birthday. And so she had to work on her birthday. So he said, well, I'll come pick you up from work and we'll go for a drink, right? And so she's thinking, oh, he'll take me somewhere nice and we'll have a drink and maybe he'll buy me a gift. And, she's all excited. It's probably like, 6 weeks into the relationship. Mm-hmm. And so she gets off of work. She goes outside and he's legless drunk. Like he can't even fucking stand up, right?
That's
he's like,
the worst.
making no sense.
And it's her birthday. Like, that's just rude.
I know. Nice. Yeah. So anyways, so she's just like, oh, fuck. And she said he was literally too drunk that she couldn't even put him in a cab, right? Like,
legless.
Yeah. So she takes him home. She puts him in her bed. She puts like a bucket next to the bed in case he pukes. And he's a big guy, right? So she's like, well, screw you. You can just sleep in your clothes because I'm not undressing you. Goes to bed. So she wakes up in the morning. He's snoring away. She gets up to make herself a coffee. She goes in her kitchen. And in her kitchen, there's a pile of his pants and undies. And next to that, on her kitchen rug, is a giant shit.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
He's pooed on her carpet.
He pooed on her kitchen rug. You know how like you'll have a rug in front of the sink?
No.
Yes.
I feel like
giant man shit.
There's probably a nice rug as well. Now there's a big old poo on it.
Happy birthday. Oh. Yeah. So she's just like, oh, God damn it. So she goes into the bedroom.
I can't even deal with it.
She
a big old
whips
shit.
the blanket off him, right? And he's
obviously naked.
Obviously no pants. He's still got a shirt on. Oh, no pants. There's poo streaks on the bed.
Oh no, he's stained the bed with his
he
shit.
hardly wiped, right? Like, and so she's like, you need to come in here right now. And he's like, what? And she's like, you need to come into the kitchen right now. And he's like, fucking sleep and leave me alone, And she's like, get up. So he stumbles into the kitchen. He's got like poo crusted into his ass hair. And she's just like, and he looks at his pants and he looks at the shit and he's like, that's not mine.
Oh, well, whose is it, mate? You've got no pants on, you've got shit stains, and there's a big old poo on the rug.
And she's like, I don't think someone broke in, took off your pants, and then took a shit next to it. No one's trying to frame you for shitting on my fucking kitchen rug. And he was like, it's absolutely not mine. You're crazy. You must have done this shit. And she said the shit was enormous. Like only a man could have done a shit like
honestly,
this.
It makes me like a dinosaur shit. Like, just this
like a Great Dane poo. And yeah. So anyways, he kept denying it and saying it was her shit. Yeah. And she was just like, get your shit and get out. And so he just grabbed his pants and ran. Like didn't even put his pants on. Just ran out of the house.
With his poo smeared bum.
Oh, God. Yeah. So she said she spent the morning of her birthday cleaning shit off her kitchen rug.
I'm sorry. Why would you be cleaning that? That rug, I would be rolling it up and throwing it straight in the bin.
I couldn't understand that either. But
the memories and also cleaning up someone else's poo. No, thank you. And on your birthday. Like, probably the worst thing that you could possibly ever do.
I would have rolled that up intact and posted it to him as a present. That's what I would have fucking done. Happy birthday.
Cut it out, frame it.
Put it in a box.
Send it. Here's something for your wall.
After I posted it on social media with, his name. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Like, here's the present my boyfriend got me. Yeah.
I remember hearing a news story like a few years back about a girl who had like gone home with a guy, and obviously she'd gone to the bathroom and she needed to go, and it wouldn't flush.
Yeah.
So so she got it out of the toilet and put it down, like, you know those windows that are like shafts almost, like on a lean, and you'd like pull it down and they'd go like that, and the whole thing. So she tried to get it out there and it got stuck, so it like went down the thing, so there was no way she could get it. So she just went back and then like had to make up some yarn to leave, because obviously you're not gonna wait till the guy goes to the bathroom and is like, you've shoved that out the window and now it's stuck.
Oh, wouldn't you just ask for like a plunger? I mean, I guess a lot of people don't have plungers.
You couldn't do that though, because then he'd be like, why? And he'd come into the bathroom, and then you have to be like, well, this is a one night stand and I
just wouldn't have fished it out. I would have just put a bunch of toilet paper over it or something. I don't know.
Chat.
Everybody poops. It's part of life, you know? Like, yeah. Yeah, there's that other story. Have you heard the one where the woman, same thing, and the guy leaves, and so she's there by herself. She does a giant shit and it won't flush. So she gets a plastic bag and puts it in there, and then is writing the guy the note. She doesn't, I think it's like one night stand. Lovely time, is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then leaves the shit in the bag next to the note. So she like calls him
on
at work.
accident.
Obviously.
I'm like, here's a present. I left you something.
Some people are into that type of stuff, though.
No, that kind of fetish, absolutely not. That's disgusting.
Coprophilia. I've had clients with that issue. Yeah. Coprophilia is sexual pleasure from shit. And urophilia is obviously the, golden showers.
I don't even want to go. I don't even want to know.
No,
I don't want to know.
This is like
taking it on the rug is enough for me today.
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to tell another story here, but I thought we've already talked about poo, Tinder dates, and penises, and this one involves a giant penis mural. So I thought we won't tell that story. We'll cut that, and I'm going to do something a little bit more wholesome and nice, a book review. So we're going from one extreme to the other. But seriously, this book, I'm like an advocate for this book. What's it called? I should be paid basically for promoting this book. Like, that's how much I tell people. If they're like, what book should I read? I am like, The Truth About the Harry Quebert Affair. Yeah. It is hands down the best book I've ever read. I won't give away too much, but it's one of those ones that you can honestly open it up and within the first 2 chapters you're hooked. You know how you just
what's it called again?
The Truth About the Harry Quebert Affair.
And who is it? Harry Quebert.
I don't know if that's how it's said. Quebert, Harry Q. Whatever his name is, it's good. It's by Joel Dicker. So it's a 2014 book. And it's sold more than 1 million copies, knocking 50 Shades of Grey off the top seller in French-speaking countries.
Yeah. Oh, so is it translated from French, or just the French are into it?
Well, I definitely didn't read a French version. That's for sure. I was reading an English one. Yeah. So I don't know. But I'll tell you a wee bit. I don't want to give it away too much. But it's basically set in a little coastal town, New Hampshire town. This guy called Marcus Goldman. He's a successful novelist. And he's gone there to stay with his old college professor, Harry Q. Quebert, whatever his last name is. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and then it goes back to 15 years ago. 15, maybe 20 years ago, when Harry was a young writer. Mm-hmm. So it goes back in time. And you find out that Harry was having an affair. Well, you wouldn't call it an affair because he was married, but an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old girl, and he was 30 at the time. And then it just follows uncovers all these truths and basically all these mysteries that have gone on in this town. And it flashes back to when Harry was younger, and then it flashes to the time now, and it's just so good. I don't want to give away too much. I'm trying to dance around the subject. I'm not giving it a good enough review.
So good. Just read it.
Seriously, so good. You need to read it. So it's not true. What's that mean? Non-fiction.
It's
fiction.
It's fiction.
Okay, good. So it's not true. It's fiction. It doesn't make sense. It should be non-fiction because it's not true.
No, because fiction is made up and nonfiction is true.
But do you see what I mean?
I do see.
It should be the other way around. It should just
be like truth or fiction. Or
yes,
yeah,
they should change
real.
That.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that changed.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, we can talk to the libraries or I don't know who, and yeah, you can...
See if they can do that for me.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be interested. So we've told stories about murder, attempt murder, and poos, and...
penis murals.
No, you didn't tell that.
Good.
What? Oh, okay. That's later. And then love affairs with 15-year-olds. So yeah, this is a very appropriate podcast.
Have you got a book? Surely you've got something that can bring us down to level.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to raise up the vibe of out of the gutter. Yeah, I've got a great book. This is a book I tell clients about all the time. It's called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And it's by, I'm afraid to say this, Kamal Ravikant. Ravi?
You sure that's how it's said?
It's Kamal. I don't want to make fun of anyone's name. It's Kamal Ravikant.
Oh, no, that sounds kind of, yeah, we'll go with that.
Kamal Ravikant. He is amazing. He's like climbed Everest, and this dude is awesome, right? Mm-hmm. But anyways, and this is a non-fiction. It's do you get it? It's real. And he went through a terrible breakup, and his business was failing, and he had been like sick for a month, and he couldn't get out of bed, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And he just woke up one morning, and he had this epiphany that he didn't love himself, and that his problem came from the fact that he didn't love himself. And so he started this practice of self-love, just telling himself he loved himself, of doing this kind of like 5-minute meditation of telling himself he loves himself. I mean, he explains it a lot better in the book. It's a really short read, but it is profound. And I believe that's where a lot of our problems come from is, we love other people, we're kind to other people, and we treat ourselves
like shit.
Like terrible. The things we say to ourselves, we would never talk to a person again.
You'd never say that to anyone else.
You never would. And if someone said it to you, you would be like, fuck off and die. I don't ever want to see you again.
I know.
But meanwhile, we have this running like dialogue in our head that's horrific. So yeah, love yourself like your life depends on it. And I'm not even going to attempt to say his name again, but he's awesome.
I'm all about self-help books.
Yeah.
Some people stick their nose up at that kind of thing. They're like, but reality is, even just, like, I quite often read The Secret.
Yeah.
I just have it sitting beside my bed, open it up, flick to a page, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to help me with my day. I can see the future. I love myself.
See it, believe it, realize it. I haven't read The
Law of Attraction.
Yeah.
Manifestation.
I believe that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You put out into the universe what you want.
Yeah.
It will come back.
Come back. Absolutely.
Here we go. We've brought the podcast up already. Here we are.
Leaving on a high note.
Leaving on a high note.
No, and we're not literally high.
That's us done for today, but join us next time. Same shit. Different stories. No shit. No shit next week, actually. No. We've had enough of that talk.
We'll keep the shit to a minimum. Yeah. So hopefully you'll tune in. And also, if you have any stories that you think we should tell, or you want to leave a message telling your own story, we would love to hear it. So you can go to WTF Stories and Advice.com, and there'll be a comment page where you can leave that as well. And we'll find some way that you could do a recording. But yeah, love to hear it.
We want to hear from you.
Yeah.